I want to meet Betty Shabazz. Sister, this is not a tea party. This is life and death. I'm together. No, you're holding your man up and you're holding me up, and that's reactionary. He patted his side like he had a gun there too. We're ready to protect the lady. I looked up at Allwood, but he was acting like I was something that had dropped out of his nose. I grabbed hold of his sleeve. Tell me this doesn't mean I can't see Betty Shabazz. He shrugged, and the brother said, this ain't the time. Oh, I get it, I said. No, if you got it, you would have got to step in. He turned to leave, and Allwood started walking with him. I stood there fuming, my lips poked out to the air controller's tower. It occurred to me that if I were anybody but Janice Hightower, black girl from East Oakland, I would have been able to see her. Joe Blow from Kokomo rides on a plane for 8 hours, New York City to San Francisco, and never recognizes her or the legacy she's carrying right next to him. I started after Allwood. I knew he was listening to me, even if the other brother was a stone wall. Allwood, if I was an ordinary passenger from Sebastopol or Colma coming in on her flight, then I would get to see her. To them, she's just a colored woman on a plane. They don't see Betty Shabazz. And he's gonna tell me I'm not important enough to see her? See you at the car, Allwood said. Allwood, he's telling you I'm not important at all. Am I numb or dumb? Not me, sweetheart. I felt ripped off big time, but I was beginning to lose my cool. I looked around and saw more brothers with rifles lined up in twos. A gang of policemen walked briskly past me. I walked behind them, the police and the brothers giving each other the evil eye. No one tried to stop me. In the waiting area, brothers lined up near the gate. Police and two sisters with big bowl afros and African wraps behind them. I smiled. One nodded grimly. The other pointed to the tarmac and said, Sister Betty's plane is here. I got excited. The sister who had nodded touched my arm as if to calm me. An old cop, a Broderick Crawford type, walked up to the brothers with a camera. The next thing I knew, Huey Newton stepped up to him as bold and as straight-backed as he had stood in my history class and said, don't take any pictures. A knot formed in my stomach. Bobby Seale moved in front of the camera with his knock-kneed self. The cop acted like he was going to take pictures anyway. For an instant, everyone stood there transfixed. Huey said, we're going to smash it. And I remembered his high-pitched voice. Then I heard him call out, jive, racist cop. Huey started talking as if he was lecturing the whole airport. If he takes any pictures, he's going to provoke something. That's where it's going to start at. You're not supposed to end a sentence with a preposition, I thought. Right now, Huey said with finality. The police began talking as if they were persuading the one with the camera to back off. I thought, he can't shoot pictures and people at the same time. I flashed on all the times I had seen boys and men always colored, always in East Oakland, always spread-eagled against patrol cars, or their wrists manacled in the small of their backs, lying on the ground like trash, never face to face, never. A stealthy calm settled in, like a kind of truce that everyone had agreed to invisibly as the plane taxied in. I spotted Allwood up real close to the gate, way back over there, and I wanted to shout, Allwood, you're a bystander. This is where it's at. I'd have to tell him everything that had happened on the way back. Passengers streamed off the plane, an unbroken line of white people, one after another. I wonder if we'd all come here merely to confront each other. Then I saw her. I recognized her straightened hairdo with the deep bangs, her smile between a grimace and smiling ugly. She extended her arm in greeting, and a circle of brothers and sisters, and then cops formed around her like rings on a tree. Everyone looked so serious, but when she looked my way, I gave her my 52 tooth. She acknowledged me. My fear and resentment fell away as if she'd sheared them off. Then the men with cops motored her through the airport like a Rose Bowl float. I was so giddy, thank you. Outside the terminal, Allwood and I met up. I was euphoric, but he looked just the opposite. He told me to drive because he had to go with the brothers. He told me where everyone was headed, the Ramparts magazine office downtown. I got a little lost, but I got there. I parked the bug, got out, and saw Allwood standing across the street, listening to a brother who I could see from the back had on countrified, wide-cuff jeans and a black leather coat. He was sounding on Allwood something ferocious. He was saying, if you gonna be for real, then be for real. Petty bullshit, cultural nationalist bullshit is bullshit. Dig? Allwood didn't say anything, did nod his head, and didn't acknowledge me when I came up to them, mute. I waited for you, I said to him. Shut up, the brother in the coat said to me without even looking at me. That pissed me off. I thought I'd left that at the airport. What's the deal here? The deal is your man ain't got no gun, he said, finally turning to face me. I saw he was the brother from the Black House named Bebo. This is somebody who came up earlier in the story. He didn't look like he remembered me at all. You ain't packing, he said to Allwood like I wasn't there. How was you supposed to defend her? With your fists? A dictionary? Chairman Mao says power comes from the barrel of a gun. Well, Allwood said, and Jimmy Baldwin said, don't quote that faggoty bullshit from Martin Luther King. That intellectual bullshit ain't playing here. Either you're willing to die for the people or you're bullshitting. Allwood spoke. I know what my duty to the masses is. No, you don't. You think the masses are asses. I love my people, Allwood said. Enough to die for them? Don't lie, don't front. You couldn't front in there. Bebo pointed to the building. So don't try to front me off. I know you're going to school to get your GNP papers, your good nigga papers, so you can dictate to the masses and eat crumbs from the massa. I got your number, Brother Allwood, and it don't even add up to one. Your mind is revolutionary, but your heart is bourgeois. You're the one, Allwood said, making a big mistake, writing off brothers with skills. The Viet Cong ain't got nothing but rice, man, and they kicking ass. Degree is your excuse. When the revolution takes place, Allwood said, and shit goes down, believe me, brother, the people will need engineers, doctors, lawyers, social scientists, nuclear physicists. You can wear all the Malcolm X sweatshirts and snake buttons you want, brother. Your shit is not deep. If you ain't willing to give the imperialists an ass kicking when it counts, how you gonna walk up to the victory table and say what? You was too busy studying to fight? He shook his head. We can train the people. Not that fast, Allwood said. Look at Guinea. They're struggling, man. Yeah, man, after they chase out the colonialists, the British, the French, they have to deal with rebuilding. Skills. Do you realize that only 10% of adult Africans can read and write? 10%. All I know is, Bebo said, pointing to the Ramparts building, those brothers in there from Oakland pulled some coattail today. I'm from Oakland, man. I grew up in Oakland, Allwood said. I piped in, and I'm from Oakland, and I know Huey and Bobby from City. He stared at me and said, sister, it's not who you know, it's how you know them. He continued to talk to Allwood. Those brothers in there, they're the real deal, man. Huey had a shotgun. Bobby was carrying a gun. Young dudes were loaded with guns. Man, loaded. The Black Panther Party of Northern California looked like fools. Man, they calling them paper panthers. I ain't a paper nothing. Is that what you want to go down as? For a minute, they didn't talk, just stared eyeball to eyeball. I had helped Allwood fill out his application to Caltech. I knew what he wanted to go down as because I had typed it, physicist. You know what's the most important thing you can do? Bebo asked Allwood. Quit school for a year and struggle for the people, day and night. Can you do that? Allwood stood mute. I'm not quitting school. I have to get my degree or I'm useless. Your parents drill that into your head. There's nothing worse than a smart black man without an education, Allwood said. How about smart without a conscience? Oh, I got back in. What about all the sacrifices our parents and grandparents made to get us to this point? All the struggles were fought so we could become educated. Bebo said, this is a movement from the bottom up, not the top down. It's not about being better than anyone else. Not better than, I said, as good as, and able to help other people as well. He turned to Allwood, give the people 1 year, even white boys, go to Africa for the Peace Corps for 2 years. Allwood shook his head. My scholarships open this year. I have to finish and then help my people. So that argument goes on, but that's kind of like, that's the crux of that cultural nationalist education versus fight for the people right here and now.